Hello, my name is Emily Mistr, and I am a staff attorney with the North Carolina Justice Center. This video is about how to fill out a Form 415, which is also known as a request for relief from fines, fees, and other monetary obligations. It is used to request the waiver of fines and fees owed on a previously disposed ticket, most often in traffic cases. Today, we're going to go through just how to fill it out online. The first thing you want to do is you want to type in the case number for the case that you are requesting relief on. So, for instance, that's going to be typically a 2-digit year, so 00, and then it's going to be either CR, CRS, or IF. For this example, I'm just using CR, and then I'm just going to type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The important thing to know about this is that you need to complete and submit a form for each individual case number that you are requesting relief. You cannot combine case numbers on a single form. Next, you're going to check the box regarding whether it's in district or superior court. If your letters in your case number are CR or IF, then that is district court. If your letters in your case number are CRS, then that is superior court. Next, you want to come over here and fill in the county for this case number. So for this example, I'm just going to type in Wake. Next, you're going to tab down. You're going to fill in the name of the defendant, Joe Smith in this case. You're going to then complete the defendant's telephone number, date of birth, and the street address. This information is very helpful in that any notice regarding hearing is going to be mailed to this street address. If you do not have an address, then you can check the box for I am homeless. You're going to go over here to the attorney box, and you're going to check the box that says I am self-represented. That means that you are proceeding on your own without the assistance of an attorney. Next, you're going to look down here in the employment income. They're asking for the information in a per month status, so not weekly or biweekly, but monthly. They're also asking you to list your employer. There's also a checkbox here if you are unemployed. So, for instance, let's say that you work for PetSmart. You're going to type PetSmart in here, and then you're going to go over here and you're going to type in how much money you make per month. So, for instance, $1,500. Then you hit tab, and it adds the 0.00 for cents. The next box is other income per month. This, for instance, is rental income. If you own a house that you rent to another person and that person pays you rent, but other options are spouse's income and gifts and financial support from family. For instance, if you are married and your spouse works, this is the portion where you put that. So let's say that your spouse also works at PetSmart. Then we can add PetSmart and spouse in parentheses, and then you want to add your spouse's income. We'll say for this example, $1,000 per month. The next question is how many people, including yourself, does this income support? So when you're calculating that number, you count yourself as 1. Then you add to that number the additional people that supports. For instance, if it's you and your spouse and 2 children, 1, 2, then you have a total of 4. You, your spouse, and your 2 children. So then you want to add that number to that block. The next question is, what is the total value of your cash on hand and in bank accounts? This means how much cash do you have that you have now and in a bank account? Let's say, for purposes of this example, $50. The next question is, what is the total value of all real property you own? Real property means houses, apartments, condos, things that you own, not things that you rent, but things that you own. This does not include a house where you pay a mortgage. So we will put 0 in that box. The next question is, what is the total value of all major personal property you own? It says parentheses, vehicles or jewelry. The important distinction in this question is that most people do not own their vehicles. Most people are still paying or making a monthly payment on that vehicle. So for instance, if you purchased your vehicle from a car lot and you financed that vehicle and you have to pay a certain amount per month towards that vehicle, then that means that you do not own that vehicle for the purposes of this question. So we're going to put 0 over here. Next question is rent or mortgage that you pay monthly. So how much do you pay for rent or mortgage for the residence that you live in? And that includes if you live with another person, perhaps a roommate, and you only pay a portion. Perhaps you pay $200 and your roommate pays $200. Or perhaps you pay the entire rent yourself. So you want to put that amount in this slot. So we'll put $750. And then this question says, next one is child care or child support payments that you pay monthly. So if you have a child support obligation that you're required to pay on every month, then you want to put that number here. If in the alternative or in addition, you pay child care expenses, then you want to put that number here. So for instance, say that you have a child, that child lives with you, or in this example, Joe Smith and his spouse live together with 2 children. Say one of those children is school age and one of those children is in child care, and they pay $500 a month for the child care for the youngest child. So 500 goes in this box. Now, the next portion is a checkbox section. It says, I receive the following public assistance. Your choices are TANF, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, Supplemental Security Income, also known as SSI, Social Security Disability Insurance, known as SSDI, SNAP or food stamps, or veterans benefits. In the next column, you have a series of statements. If any of these apply to you, then check them. First one is, I have been homeless in the past 6 months. Second is, I have been incarcerated on an active sentence in the past 6 months. Third is, I am under 18. And fourth is, I am a full-time student. So for instance, in our example, let's say that Joe Smith and his family receive food stamps and that he or his spouse were incarcerated on an active sentence in the past 6 months. So we're going to check both of those boxes. Now, the next box states, use the space below to provide any additional information about other circumstances the court should consider when evaluating your ability to pay, such as a disability or illness, a change in work hours, or other support obligations or significant expenses. In this portion, I would recommend that you include any educational debt that you have, such as student debt for prior education. I would recommend that you also include any medical debt. So if you have hospital bills from a previous medical crisis and that debt is outstanding, I would recommend you include that here as well. I would also recommend that you include how much you pay for utilities. That includes your cell phone. I would also recommend how much you pay for transportation. So in that block, you would include car insurance, how much you pay for car insurance. If you have a car payment, how much you pay for your car payment, and how much you would spend on gas or fuel. Lastly, I would recommend that you include information here regarding if you have child support obligation, if you typically pay child support, but for instance, you are in arrears, meaning you owe old child support, I would include that information here as well. The court typically would rather have your money going to pay child support arrears than paying court debt. In addition, if you have children, if you have dependents, and you do not receive child support for any of those dependents, I would recommend you also include that information here. What you're trying to do is paint as thorough as possible a picture of your financial obligations to give the court the ability to make the determination whether or not you can pay the debt that's accrued. Next, we'll scroll down to page 2. The top portion is the request or motion. This is the portion where you ask the court for what you want. So your checkbox, it's a checkbox thing. Their first box is that the court allow relief from all costs, fines, fees, and restitution to the extent allowed by law. The second box is that I be given until at least, and then you fill in the date here, to pay any imposed monetary obligations. And then your third option is a payment plan requiring a total money payment of no more than X dollars per month. Your first box is if you're asking the court to remit all of the money that you owe. Your second box is if you want to pay the money that you owe, but you need more time to pay it. And your third box is if you would like a payment plan and you can determine how much money you can afford to pay. So perhaps you look at your financial circumstances, you believe that you can pay $20 per month and you want to pay your debt, then you would fill in $20 per month here and check the third box. Then you're going to date and print your name here, and then you're going to sign your name here. Now, the important part of this is that this document needs to be notarized. What that means is that do not sign this document until you are in front of a notary. You need to take this completed but unsigned document and a valid photo ID with you to a notary. Notaries are typically found in banks and UPS stores. You can also sometimes find them in attorneys' offices. Once there, the notary will review your valid photo ID and then witness you as you sign the document. Then the notary will complete this portion of the document. Now, this can also be signed at the clerk's office. So you don't have to do it. You don't have to necessarily go to a bank or a UPS store. If you're going to file it in court, you can actually take it to the clerk's office and the clerk can witness you signing this document. The next portion of this document is a certificate of service section. This document, because it is a motion in a previously disposed case, requires that the district attorney receive a copy of this document. So typically, you're going to go to the district attorney's office first. So you're going to get it signed in the clerk's office or with a notary. Then you will go to the district attorney's office. You're going to want to take 2 to 3 copies of this document with you. I generally would recommend 3 copies. So you go to the clerk, sign it, go to the district attorney's office, and serve them with a copy. They will fill out the appropriate box, which can be leaving a copy with an employee of the district attorney, and then the person can print their name here. It can be by mailing a copy. I would generally not recommend that for these types of motions because that is a relatively new process. You can, and then once you have served the district attorney's office with their copy, you're going to date. You're going to write your name here as the name of the person serving, because you are serving the district attorney's office. Then you are going to sign the document here, and you're going to check defendant. Then you're going to take the 2 copies that remain, because 1 copy will stay with the district attorney's office. You're going to take the 2 copies that remain back down to the clerk's office to file them. There is no fee when you're filing this document. So the 2 copies will go to the clerk's office. They will file stamp both copies, and the second 1 copy stays with the clerk, and 1 copy should come back to you as documentation that it has been filed. Different clerk's offices have different processes on when these are scheduled. Sometimes the clerk will give you the date that it is going to be calendared at the time you file it. So you file it and they will say, this case will be calendared on August 6th. Make sure you're here. You will need to appear in court on that court date so that the judge can review your request. In other offices, in other clerk's offices, they will accept your form and then they will mail you documentation of when the hearing gets scheduled. That is why it is so important that the address that is listed here at the top of the form is a correct address. It is also very important that if your address changes, that you make sure to contact the clerk's office to update the address that they have for you on this form. Once everything is filled out, served on the district attorney's office, and filed in the clerk's office, then you will be required to appear in court on your scheduled court date so that the judge can review your motion and make a decision. Judges may have questions about the information that you have provided, so it is very important that you not miss that court date.